Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Finish Friday. Thank you so much for being with me during this time of being able to teach you how to do specialty finishes. You know, there's not a lot of information out there as far as people that really want to teach you how to do specialty finishes on furniture, on cabinetry, on things that you just might rescue, whether they're lamps or decorative accessories. So I'm really excited and enjoying this whole process of teaching you how to be able to do that. Of course, I've developed an entire product line of Amy Howard at Home that's intended for you to be able to restore, rescue, redecorate, and restore all those pieces that you have sitting around your house. Today, I'm going to be going over with you about glazing. Believe it or not, this little unassuming can of glazed over, it's like you wouldn't imagine what all it can do, but it's pretty magical. Combine it with some other products and it can literally transform your finishing. So I've got several colors here. I've got several things that I'm working on that we're going to be able to show you how you can use this product, how simple and easy it is. Just a couple of things you want to know about it. Look down in here as far as seeing, as I'm stirring this up, of course you see that I've got a stir stick. You want to make sure that you stir it up because it will separate. But as you stir it up, it's going to turn into literally a white consistency. This white consistency allows you to be able to see it as you're working with it, but it's going to dry clear. Now here's the other thing. It's like, why do I need a glazing medium? What it does, it works in combination of the one-step paint as well as things like mica powders to be able to make incredible glazes that go over your flat surface. So you can literally take something like this ornament or a cabinet door, add the glaze over it, and it can totally change the color. Or you can use other specialty tools like erasers and be able to create things like malachite or tiger's eye. It's endless. And it's all done with this simple product because you cannot take just water and thin down the paint. You need a substrate. You need something to be able to hold it in, and that's going to allow you all the versatility. So I think you're going to be excited. It's going to take what you've been doing and just doing a regular painting to maybe a piece of furniture that you've got to a next level. So it's really easy. I promise. Hang with me and let me take you through this whole process. So I'm going to take a little bit of the glazing liquid. Now remember, the glazing liquid is not used by itself. It's always used in conjunction with something else. So I have formulated these products to all go together. The glazing liquid is water-based, so you're going to want to use it with a water-based product. So this is our chalk-based paint in our one-step. Remember, you can have this done in a lot of different colors. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my one-step paint out. I'm going to take a little bit of my glazing liquid. So as far as recipes, if you're not familiar with my Rescue, Restore, Redecorate book, I'm going to ask, can somebody get me a copy of that? I want to show it to you. It has recipes, almost like you're cooking, in order to be able to use these products and be able to create a lot of different finishes. If you're not familiar with my book, Rescue, Restore, Redecorate, I really encourage you to get it. So I've got one part one-step paint, I've got one part glaze, and this is a French blue, and then a 1 part water. So sometimes I'll back off on my water just a little bit. So I'm going to put just a little bit of water in here. I don't want you to make it too thin. So here's a copy. I'm just going to show you. And the only reason I'm sharing this with you is really and truly, one, I'm proud of it. But the other thing is that it's important to be able to have a step out with the recipes in here of being able, this is an example how I'm showing you using the glazed over and how I worked over a gilded surface to be able to create tiger's eye. There's just lots and lots of great recipes, step-by-steps in here to be able to take your rescuing things to the next level. All right, so I've mixed my glazing liquid with my one-step paint and just a tad of water, so I want you to kind of see the consistency of it. Now, so let me show you. Let's say you've painted a piece and you've done it just in a regular Bauhaus buff. Bauhaus buff is a really great color of ours. It goes with just about anything, but I'm also going to introduce you to another product. If you've never worked with our chalky mineral sprays, this is a great color. It's called Creme Brulee. I did a whole series of colors that you would that you might see in the Paris flea market. So they're all inspired from colors that you might see on antique pieces. But you can also spray a piece with this chalky mineral spray. It's a beautiful matte finish. A lot of sprays that you're going to get are just acrylic-based paints, and the finish on them is not as beautiful as our chalky mineral spray. And this would give you also the same look on a piece of furniture, but it's in an aerosol form. So as the weather will start to get a little nicer, we'll be able to go outside and do a little bit more spraying. So this was actually done with our one-step paint. I've got my glaze that I've mixed up, and I'm just going to take a chip brush and I'm going to load up my glaze. Now it's a glaze, it's no longer paint. You've actually made a glaze out of it, and you're going to brush it on. So when you're doing glazing, it's a two-part process. You've got one brush that you apply. This is your positive brush, and then you're going to have a brush that's going to act as your negative brush. That's what you're going to be taking the paint off with. So you're going to notice here, I'm going to take some cheesecloth. I usually make sure it's washed cheesecloth. You can buy it already like this. And then come back. Watch. Now remember, guys, this was the piece that we would have normally just had in a plain white color. Look at it all of a sudden. Isn't it beautiful? It's soft. It's really subtle. It's very classic looking. Now, here's where I talk about coming back with a second brush. Use your chip brush. You don't want to use synthetic brushes. You know, last week we talked a lot about tools. You can use the small chip brushes like this, and you can use our specialty glazing brush, which I'm going to use in just a minute on my cabinet door. So come back now with a clean chip brush, and look how I'm pouncing down in the crevices like this. I want to lift that out so I don't have a residue. Now remember, it's 12 o'clock Central Standard Time here in Memphis. If you're watching us, you're live, send us some love, give me some hearts, and then ask your questions. There's no dumb questions. I'm your teacher, and I want to be able to make sure you understand this and that you can use the products and have great success. If you're not part of our before and after group, you want to go on Facebook and join that. That's where a lot of people share their before and afters on their projects, and we can all learn from one another. Isn't that great looking? That's just done with a simple glaze, some cheesecloth, and my brushes.
Some people missed whenever you made the glaze. Can you go over the parts of glaze and part paint?
Yes. So what we're talking about today is our glazed over. So this is the product that you can mix. You don't use it by itself, but you see that it's a clear consistency. It's water-based. It's intended, and I made it to go with our one-step paint. So you mix up 1 part glazing liquid, 1 part one-step paint, and 1 part water. Sometimes I'll do maybe just a little bit of water, and I'll not add too much because I don't want it to be too thin, but this lets you see kind of the consistency of it. So it allows you to be able to make a lot of different glazes and colors that can transform your furniture. And guys, here's the deal. A lot of companies will say they sell glazes and you have to buy 12 different colors of glazes. There's no need for that. All you need is glazed over, and it's formulated to be able to be used with all these things. Now, I know that metallic is really big. I know a lot of people love working with metallics. We have a product that's a mica powder. This has been around for thousands of years. It is literally a metallic in a powdered form, granular, that you can add to the glazed over. So if you see things, I'm just gonna take, let's say I'll take this beautiful gray color. There again, as you're working and making glazes, you need to work with our one-step paint or either our chalky mineral spray because you want a beautiful matte surface. So watch this. I'm gonna take a little bit of our glazed over. In this instance, I'm not gonna add water when I'm working with metallics. This is so fun. There's no need in you buying a whole lot of glazes, guys. All you need is glazed over, and you can mix a lot of different colors with the one-step paint. Now watch what I'm doing. I'm taking a little bit of mica powders. Yes, there's a question.
What effect does the glaze give? Shiny, iridescent?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's a dead matte finish still. It's not a gloss. It's going to be a flatter finish, but what it does, it also seals it. If on your kitchen cabinets, a lot of people feel like they need to wax over a chalky type mineral paint. This seals it. There's no need to put any wax, nothing on top of it if you don't want to. If you want to take it to a high gloss, you can come back and use one of our lacquers, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But it is perfect in sealing it. It allows you the ability to be able to make these beautiful glazes that are more sheer. I could come back and add a little bit of leaf to that later. We're going to be talking about striping and gilding more next week and the week after, so that way I can come back and show you how to do that. But it's just such a beautiful, easy process and really upping your game with your finishes. So it's going to have a beautiful finish to it. You don't have to seal it afterwards. Now look what I've just done. I took the glazed over and some mica powders and I've just made a metallic glaze. So great! I don't want you going and having to buy a lot of different glazes. I want you to be able to make all these colors yourself. Now,
can you use it with stains too?
you can. You can. Oh, I've got such smart students. I love this. All right.
Another question.
Yes.
Can you use the clear matte sealer on top?
Yes, you can, but there's no need to, guys. This has the sealer in it. So this glazed over, it's a composition, so that way you can add the one-step paint to it and make glazes. You can use it directly on top of your furniture or your cabinetry, but there's no need to seal. The sealant is in here. It's heavy duty. You don't have to worry about it at all. So if you want a high gloss, you can add a high gloss, but this is good. Your product and your piece that you're working on is sealed. No need for anything else. Love that. All right, so look, I just made this metallic glaze. Look at this. So I'm going to stir it up just a little bit, and I'm just brushing it over my one-step paint. And you don't have to do it everywhere if you don't want to, but a lot of people love metallics. Remember, again, this is water-based. So I'm going to come back after I brush that on. Now my second step is I'm going to take some cheesecloth and I'm going to pounce it like this. Look at that. Pretty wild, isn't it? So model it. See how I'm modeling it? It's better to stay with cheesecloth like this because it's going to be a little bit softer. Now see how some of it will get down in the crevices? Now I want you to come back with a clean brush. It needs to be dry. And look how I'm just going to pounce down in those crevices just to be able to get that excess. Done. I'm done. I don't have to do any more. I've got a beautiful metallic finish. You know, the cool thing about this is you can do this on walls too, furniture and walls, and you do not have to seal it afterwards. All right, so I've had, several people ask me over the last few weeks about, they've got oak kitchen cabinets. What do I do to them? You can glaze them. You don't have, a lot of people are wanting to update and they want to have some white glazed cabinets. I'm going to show you. I'm going to take our white one-step paint.
Some people want to know where they can get the cheesecloth.
Cheesecloth at any hardware store. A lot of times places that carry fabrics will carry cheesecloth as well. All right, so let me get another bowl. I'm gonna stir it up because it'll have a tendency to separate, so make sure every time you use it, you want to stir it up really good. Take my glazing liquid or my glazed over. This was specially formulated by us to be able to be used with our one-step paints and our micas. So take a little bit of your glazing liquid, and then I'm going to get some of my one-step paint. You don't want to try this with other paints. They've not been formulated to go together like this. But the good thing is this is water-based. You don't have to worry about any VOCs, which are volatile chemical compositions. This is safe to be able to use in babies' rooms, children's rooms, anywhere in your house. Now look at that. Now we've created a white glaze. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. not too much. I don't want you to have it too thin. Now remember again, as I'm showing you how to do this, your glazes, you're gonna need 2 brushes. You need to be able to have either a glazing brush like this, or you're gonna have to have one to apply it and one to take it off. And I prefer that you not work with a synthetic brush. When I talk about a synthetic brush, that's more like these. The good thing about working with a chip brush, it's absorbent, it's natural, and it will absorb the glaze, especially when you start going in and stippling it like we did on this particular piece right here. So don't use a synthetic brush on glazing. You want to make sure that you're working with a chip brush, which is a natural pigmented material. Okay, so I'm going to put down, are there any questions? Are we good? All right. So I'm going to load up my brush. Now, this is like an oak cabinet. You don't have to paint it. I love being able to use the colorant of the color and mixing it with my glaze to be able to go over color like I did with that blue. But you can also come on top of oak cabinets if you want to be able to get a more limed effect. So let's say that was just an oak cabinet. Look at this, guys. How easy is this? Look at this. This is the look that a lot of people are wanting to get. It's a lot easier. Doesn't that look fabulous? It's a lot easier to get. Now see how I'm pulling that through. If you want to come back, especially on around your doors or your trim on your cabinet, you can darken it just a little bit. Shadow it, pull it back out. Main thing is you want it to look soft, you don't want it to look streaky. Love that. Love how the fact that I can just take some simple oak cabinets and I can come back and get a really pretty smoky look to them with just making a glaze out of my one-step paint. All right.
Can you still do that if your stained cabinets have polyurethane sealer on them?
Yes, you can. So we have 2 things that we're working with. The glazed over was formulated to be able to be used with the one-step paint. This has the adhesion that it will stick to poly, it will stick to lacquers, any factory type finish. So working with them together, only adding just a little bit of the water, maybe just a half a part. So your 1 part glaze, your 1 part one-step paint with maybe a half a part of water, just to be able to make your consistency. And here's, like I tell everybody, especially if this is something that you're going to test on your cabinets, go to Habitat tomorrow or this afternoon. They sell lots of oak cabinets, and test one. That way you can look at it, you can see what yours is going to look like. I promise you're going to be so excited. It's such an easy way to transform your kitchen and make it look amazing. You do not have to seal this if you don't want to. A lot of times people will come back after they've used their glaze and they'll just do a wax over it because they want to get a little bit of a sheen, but it's not, there's no need to. It's just a great looking finish. All right, so I don't need to take too long. I wanted to show you an example here. Here is a light colored kitchen cabinet example. I can come back with A Good Man Is Hard to Find, which is one of our most popular grays. And I like doing light colors as my base and dark colors as the top. So do the same thing again. Mix up your glazed over with your darker color and then brush it over and then wipe it off just like I did with the white. It's a great, great look. It looks a lot like the blue, but it would be in the darker gray. The other thing is I wanted to just be able to show you, and this could be literally an entire series of being able to show you how to make glazing, how to be able to do a lot of different finishes. Because for instance, look at this. This was done, this is malachite that was done. This is glaze again. You've got to have the glaze so it's thinner. Paint won't do it. I mean, just water won't do it. You've got to have a glaze. And this was the base that I used as far as a color, and then I made a glaze out of the one step and the glazed over, and then pulled it through with just an eraser. So this is my tool that I used. And if you get my book, The Rescue, Restore, Redecorate, I go over that. But I thought I would just show you, here was a board that we painted with our golden egg lacquer. This is a nitrocellulose lacquer. It can also act as your first coat. So that was sprayed on this board, so it gives me that gold, which is gonna show through my glaze. And I'm gonna mix up a chocolate. Guys, this is your time. If you have questions, I want you to be able to ask them. Yes.
How do you decide between liming wax and chalk paint mixed with the glaze for a finish for oak?
You know, the thing is, if you've got a poly already on your oak cabinets, sometimes it's good to be able to put the glaze on top of it. And a lot of that's going to depend on the wearability. The cerusing wax comes in a squeezable container, and it is just a really easy, I think I've got it up here. Do you want to grab that for me? It's a great looking finish as well to put on top of something. This might be a little bit easier to work with than working with the puck of the liming wax, which might have a tendency to flake. A couple of people have said that on our before and after page, but this is a very easy wax finish to put on top of those poly as well. But if you want it to be really durable, I don't know that I wouldn't do the one-step paint with the glazed over. I think that's a really smart thing to do. All right, so there again, this was just painted with my lacquer. I'm going to add a little bit of black because I want to be able to make a darker color.
Question, how would the glazing look over a stained wicker?
Over stained wicker?
Yes.
Oh, it could look great. You could, but you know, you can paint wicker with the one-step paint. And your ability to be able to make a lot of different colors. The glaze, you can come back, it'll look a lot like this as far as that beautiful mottled finish. It's beautiful. It can look very expensive, very classic looking. Was there another question? I've got Instagram going and I've got Facebook going.
What about cabinets that are covered with a heat melamine?
So melamine, that's a great question. Melamine, guys, is it's a heated process. It's like a plastic or veneer that's been put over a wood substrate or a particle board substrate. And a lot of people want to know how to be able to put a finish over it. What you need to do is paint it first with the one-step paint. That'll allow you to be able to get to this finish. Our one-step paint will go directly on top of melamine. Just make sure you clean it with our clean slate, and then come directly on top of it, and then you can glaze it any color you want. So I'm seeing some really busy people this weekend. Y'all are going to be working on a lot of projects. Here's the thing, you've got to make sure that you join our before and after group because we want to see your projects. I'm going over on my time, so I'm going to get in trouble. I got to put this in here just a little bit. All right, this is the teacher in me, guys. I want to make sure that you're learning this glazed over as far as a DIY pantry and having product that you can do a whole lot of stuff. This will transform your life. You talk about a pantry where you can cook. You've always got to have onions and herbs and just think butter. If you didn't have eggs and butter, you couldn't do a whole lot of things. This glazed over is like your eggs and butter. It allows you to be able to do a lot of different projects. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little bit on here and let you see because I actually want to work with my color just a little bit. I'm gonna mix this up. Just a little bit more glazing liquid in here. I want to make sure that my consistency is nice and thick. May have added just a little bit too much water. All right, now here's one of the clues. What I want you to do when you're going to be glazing something like this and you're working to do malachite or tiger's eye or whatever finish you want, I prefer that you work with a sponge brush because that way that's going to give you a nice, even coverage. You won't have any grain from it when you're working with the glaze. This is when you're going to be creating things like malachite and tiger's eye. When you're going to be working and creating with a tool like this, you're going to work in sections. See how I'm turning my brush over? Make sure I've got a good coverage like that. And now here's a magic rub eraser. I've just taken an X-Acto knife and I've gone into it like this, and I've made this little tool. See how it's been cut into? Can you see that on camera? So I'm just going to hold it on the ends like this. I'm not going to hold it too tight because that'll make my tool do this. But watch this. I'm going to lay this down on the edge. And I'm gonna pull it through. Look at this. Watch how I'll hesitate. Maybe I'll turn it from left to right to be able to kind of create different shapes in that. Go down. Is that fun? So what I want you to do when you're looking for a piece this weekend and you want to redo a top, now look how I'm laying right next to it. Look at this, guys. Oh my gosh. Are you loving this? How fab is this? What a great cocktail table top, or there's so many ways and areas that you could use this on. I'm gonna do one more because I want you to just see what it looks like. But see, all because I have my glaze, I can create these looks. Look what a transformation, how easy. I'm using an eraser, for goodness sakes. No need to buy expensive tools for that, but it allows you to be able to do all kinds of fun things and create looks that all your friends will be going, how in the world did you do that? So hopefully you see how versatile this glazed over is. I created it to be used with all of my one-step paints, my mica powders. It will allow you to transform just a regular painted piece like this into something that has beautiful color that's very subtle, or maybe it goes very exotic like this tiger's eye. Was there a question? Oh yes, okay, so we have a giveaway, every week. If you don't know about the giveaway, make sure you go to the LinkedIn tab and you can register for that. Every week we have a giveaway of the product that we're going over, so make sure you can sign up through our Instagram link or our Facebook link. And the winner this week of our glazed over is Kathy Starr. Yay, congratulations, Kathy. You're gonna have so much fun working with this glazed over. Just go back and watch the replay of this little training session on how to be able to create great finishes with our glazed over, our one-step paint and mica powders. Have a great weekend, everybody.